Months in the waiting, 5 months since our world was turned upside down. Lamar Jackson taking the field, your 2019 MVP, as we embark on Training Camp Live presented by Xfinity. Welcome in. I am Evan Washburn. Excited to be with you over the next 17 practices here with Training Camp Live. Hope to be joined by Ryan Mink in a few minutes. But just to give you a sense of what you'll get here on Training Camp Live, every morning as you hear the horns and the jugs and the whistles play, we're going to take you inside the early portion of these practices. This is the first padded practice of this training camp, a new look training camp in 2020 with a ramp-up period over the last few weeks here at the facility. This is the first time the players are taking the field in full pads. We'll be with them through individual drills, and then they'll go into team drills, and then you can follow along all the content on all the Ravens media platforms. But we do want this to be an interactive show, so make sure to head to Facebook, and in the comments section on our Facebook page, you can ask your questions, and over the course of the show, later in the show, most likely, Ryan and I will do our best to answer them. Also, every morning on Twitter, there'll be a poll that we'd love for you to chime in on, and it'll dictate how we produce the show. For today's poll question, what position group do you want us to focus on during today's individual drills? That'll be a big part of the show, is showing some of the individual drills in the position groups, whether it's running backs, linebackers, wide receivers. So you vote, and we'll show that later in the show. This is a huge day for all the players on the field, but none bigger than the rookies. When you think about it, you've got your 10 draft picks, but over 20 rookies on the field, trying to make an impression here on this coaching staff. And to give you a peek behind the curtain and maybe a reminder of how they built out this rookie class, here's a look back at the draft of 2020.
Hey, is this Patrick?
Yes, sir.
Hey, it's Eric DeCosta in Baltimore.
What's up, man?
How are you?
I'm good. Good now.
My boss for a lot of years, the greatest general manager in football, Ozzie Newsome, drafted Ray Lewis and drafted C.J. Mosley, but he never drafted an LSU player. And so I'm going to follow in his footsteps and hopefully draft a Pro Bowl linebacker. But unlike him, I'm going to draft a guy from LSU.
You're a perfect fit for our defense. I see you. Look at the fan. Everybody says, I see you now. Look at you right there. I love it. Got your hat on. Yeah. That's awesome.
How much do you know about Baltimore?
I don't know too much about it, but
Yeah, you this thing about what Mahomes does with taste like him. You can do some of the same types.
We like to run the ball. You know that, right?
yes, sir.
Can you help us?
Oh yeah, definitely.
You going to pass protect?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Catch the ball? You going to score some touchdowns?
Yes, sir, definitely.
We got some good running backs, and you're going to fit right in with those guys. Hey, Justin, it's Eric DeCosta with the Ravens. How are you?
Hey, I'm good, Coach. How you doing?
I'm doing good. We met at the Combine. We had a good meeting with you. We love the way that you play, and you fit our defense. We're a defensive team, and you've got a great skill set to help us. And we're going to make you a Baltimore Raven. We're excited about that. Who are you with? You with your family?
Yes, sir.
Excited?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
You sound excited. You sound excited. Oh man, I'm happy for you, man. Oh gosh.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, you're a great player, and we are very excited. You got a great skill set. First of all, I just want to tell you, you're one of my favorite guys that I watched this year. I love the way you play. You remind me of a guy we had in Baltimore at one point, Steve Smith. And I love your competitive style, and you're going to be a great fit. And I think that Lamar is going to love playing with you, along with all the other guys in our offense.
With the 92nd pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Baltimore Ravens select Devin Duvernay, wide receiver, Texas.
John Harbaugh's fired up. Yes, John.
Hey, it's Eric DeCosta with the Baltimore Ravens. Do you know who drafted J.K. Dobbins?
Our guys were taking
Who?
Malik Harrison.
The Ravens, right? Do you know who's going to draft you? That's right. You're going to be a Baltimore Raven. Well, you're going to be playing in the AFC North, physical football, and you're a physical linebacker. And our owner, Steve Bisciotti, watched you, and he was really excited about you when he watched you on tape as well. So, it's going to be a really good fit. What I'm going to do is turn the pick in right now.
All right. Appreciate it.
Yes!
Baltimore Ravens select Malik Harrison, linebacker, Ohio State.
Well, you played for one Harbaugh. You played for Coach Harbaugh. How'd you like to play for Coach Harbaugh again? You can do that? You excited to play for the Ravens? Well, you're a good fit. You're a good fit. You're a good fit for us. You know, we know a lot about you. Have a lot of great, obviously, connections at Michigan, and you know, we love you as a player. You feel a lot of different needs for us. I love your attitude. I love your size and toughness and your intelligence, and you know, you'll be a great addition to the team.
Ravens now get Broderick Washington, the defensive tackle out of Texas Tech.
Because this is a big pick, because this draft pick right here was a pick that I got for trading away a kicker last year. I got a 5th round pick for trading this guy, so this is a special pick for us. And you know, you got a huge responsibility now with this pick 170, okay? We're gonna turn the card in and you're gonna be a Baltimore Raven. How you feel about that?
A special day, a special few days for so many rookies, and this is a special day for them as well as they finally take the field as a member of the Baltimore Ravens in pads. And it's a special day for me as well because I get to work alongside one of my friends in this building, Ryan Mink, editorial director for the Ravens, a man who looks even better in a mask, but we're happy to see him here with his stick mic ready to go. Look, Mink, we've been doing this for a while, and sometimes you can become jaded to the fact that, we got practice, whatever. This year, it just feels different for so many reasons. How would you best describe the excitement?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, this is like Christmas Day when you finally get to play with the toys. You know, we opened them and we only got to look at them. Now we finally get to see them in action. So this is super exciting. I mean, I remember in early March when they said, "All right, everybody's going to go home for 2 weeks. We'll see you in 2 weeks." Well, it turned out to be a lot longer than that. So missing OTAs, missing minicamp, and all those things, I mean, we were kind of yearning for that normalcy, right? And now we have it, and it's just a really big, exciting day.
Absolutely. It's a new normal for all of us, but this feels very normal. And you mentioned going back to March, and one of the luxuries the NFL had is that they could continue to do business as business has been done during the pandemic. And that included an offseason for this organization that, as we showed the draft, also included free agency, and the roster was filled out with some impressive pieces, especially on the defensive side of the ball. As you looked at this offseason, Ryan, what stood out to you away from maybe just the draft?
Yeah, I mean, really, it was a normal offseason in terms of the off-the-field stuff. It was just missing the practice. But the Ravens went about their business as they normally would from the front office perspective and really restocked that front seven. So it's really exciting to add Calais Campbell, Derek Wolfe, you know, the draft picks. You have Patrick Queen, Malik Harrison, inside linebackers. So they did a lot in that regard. And then John Harbaugh and his staff did an excellent job in terms of formulating an offseason plan to get the most out of it. I think that this offseason is really going to say a lot about the leaders in charge of these organizations and getting these teams ready. John Harbaugh and his staff put together an excellent offseason training program. You see it with these guys out here right now. They don't look like me. You know, I look like I've been sitting in a basement for a few months. These guys look fantastic.
Yeah, it's good to get you out in the sun here and get that ghost away from you. Big news, and this is impressive as anything. Matt Skura, just 9 months removed from a very serious left knee injury. He's been activated. He's out on the field here. The center that was so critical in that run game suffered that injury on Monday Night Football against the Rams. Ryan, what more can you tell us about Skura being back here in pads? Again, just 9 months removed from a really serious knee injury.
Yeah, well, I remember at the end of last season when he was talking to reporters at his locker, and he said, you know, my goal is to be ready for training camp. That's where I'm setting it. And we all kind of looked around and said, whoa, that's an ambitious goal. And I think Matt even admitted that was kind of looking through rose-colored glasses, that was going to be a tough thing to pull off. And he did it. I mean, he attacked it. And I remember talking to him a month ago, and he was pointing towards this day specifically, saying this was going to be a huge day for him to finally go up against a defensive lineman. It's one thing to go against air and you feel good and all those things, but to go block Brandon Williams out there for the first time, it's going to be a huge confidence booster for him, and he's going to really know a lot about where his knee stands right now.
A testament to Skura's work ethic in getting himself back here for the first padded practice. You touched on the addition of Calais Campbell and Derek Wolfe. They're the two headliners to this defensive group that embarks on this 2020 season up front, really trying to get after the passer. Ryan, we saw Calais on this field yesterday, an off day for players, just putting in some extra work, helping out some of the young guys. He seemed to, along with Derek Wolfe, to really seamlessly come in here and fit in with the culture of this organization.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's one thing to do it virtually, and now you see it in the flesh. You know, you see Calais Campbell, like you said, working with a young defensive lineman, a rookie out there. And I think, you know, beyond pass rush that you mentioned, it's also run defense. I mean, it kind of gets overlooked, but last year the Ravens gave up 4.4 yards per carry, which was a franchise high. It's just that a lot of people didn't run on them because they had so many early leads, right? Everybody was trying to throw the ball to get back in the game. But these two guys, Derek Wolfe and Calais Campbell. I mean, Calais Campbell was the best run stopper in the NFL last year. Derek Wolfe, same way. So really from a two-prong attack, they're going to help this defense with pass rush and stopping the run.
And the attitude for Derek Wolfe fits right in with what they want to have here defensively in Baltimore. And Calais Campbell, just, you know, a behemoth of a man. Fans are going to have to get used to seeing 93 there just terrorizing backfields. Look, we showed Lamar walking out onto the field. He's got the visor. It's breaking the internet. He's become a one-word athlete these days. Everybody knows when you say Lamar, you're talking Lamar Jackson. And our Frank's Red Hot player profile looks at Lamar embarking on year 3, Ryan. And look, he got all the accolades last season, well-deserved, but it doesn't seem to affected his approach. He still has that hunger of a guy that was doubted coming out of Louisville and heading into year 2.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, here's a guy that looks at it and says, I haven't won the big one yet, right? And that's all that Lamar Jackson focuses on. He's 0-2 in the playoffs so far. That's gonna stick to him all this season. I mean, that's kind of the shame of it is as well as Lamar plays, everybody's going to say, all right, well, what's he going to do in the postseason? And that's fair, right? I mean, he has to win a playoff game, and he knows that. That's what he's striving for. But you're looking at a player that's incredibly driven, has worked incredibly hard this offseason. Obviously, the talent level is there. So I think that everybody can kind of see that Lamar is on the cusp of getting over that hurdle. And, you know, it remains to be seen now how he does that. I mean, that's the big talking point this offseason is what's the next step for an MVP like that coming off a season like he did? I mean, what more can he do? And his coaches have talked about a few different things. I think it's throwing outside the numbers, hitting the deep ball. That's what Lamar wants to do. You know, he sees a lot of missed opportunities with deep balls. So it's outside the numbers, that deep ball, and then it's decision-making and reading defenses. A lot of quarterbacks take a big leap in that regard in year 3. Patrick Mahomes, who we're all hoping that's who Lamar Jackson follows here, you know, went MVP, won the Super Bowl next year. Patrick Mahomes talked about how much better he was reading defenses in his 3rd season. I know Lamar has spent a lot of his time this offseason, you know, when we were all just inside watching Netflix and all that. Lamar was watching film, looking at defenses, so I think that's going to pay big dividends this year.
The visor is approved by myself and Ryan Mink. Looking ready to go here in the first padded practice. We're just getting started. Training Camp Live presented by Xfinity. Remember, head to Facebook and enter your questions into the comments section. We'll get to those here momentarily. But coming up next, individual drills. We'll dive into these different position groups. Stick with us.
Feel like you've watched all the things? Now there's more to love with Xfinity X1, the ultimate entertainment experience. Like live sports, they're back with the best way to watch. And more streaming apps all in one place. More classics, more premieres, plus more to easily find using just your voice. Hello, more. Where have you been all my life?
Get this offer now with DVR service included for a year. Plus, get speed, coverage, and security with the X-Fi Gateway. Click, call, or visit a store today.
If the last few months have taught us anything, it's that we really, really miss football. It's coming, and Ravens scratch-offs from the Maryland Lottery are already here. Play now for a chance to win up to $100,000 or second chance cash and Ravens prizes like seats for 20 years. Please play safely and responsibly.
This right here is the papadilla, which, if I'm not mistaken, is Latin for better than a sandwich. Even has a better pickle. Papadillas for just $6. Better ingredients, better pizza, better than a sandwich. Papa John's.
Welcome back to Training Camp Live, presented by Xfinity. Check out the new Maryland Lottery Ravens scratch-off games. Pick up Ravens scratch-offs for your chance to win up to $100,000 instantly. There are great second-chance prizes, too, like cash and Ravens fan experiences, including season tickets for next year and seats for 20 years. Hurry and enter before August 24th for your chance to win a pair of season tickets. There are great seats for the 2021 season. Visit mdlottery.com/Ravens for all the details. Scratch-offs, Ryan Mink. I've been told I can't scratch these off. They may be held for somebody else. But, hey, how about this? If one of us wins, we still show up for the rest of these shows, but then we head out on your yacht.
No, yeah, I mean, okay. I was just going to walk off set.
Great team player. I love that we're getting out of the way here with the fact that you're just going to bolt if you get the cash.
I like the way that you said cash on that read. The cash. Yeah. Can I hear that again? It sounds so nice.
No, hey, it's what we're all here for. Absolutely. Look, as we get back to what's happening out on the field, again, this is the first of 14 padded practices over the next 3 weeks. We're going to be with you daily here on Training Camp Live, taking you into these individual drills. And Ryan, this is such a key point for these rookies. They've been in the Zooms, they've been in the walkthroughs, the acclimation period, the weight room, but we learn a lot, and more importantly, the coaches learn a lot from what they look like when they're playing in pads. And as you look at this draft class, where does your eye go first?
Well, obviously, it's Patrick Queen. I mean, big expectations for the first-round pick out of LSU. I mean, he's expected to step into that starting middle linebacker role. That's a tall task, especially this year. You talk about what coaches learn. They're going to learn a lot this year considering all the missed time because of COVID. So, I mean, Patrick Queen has a lot ahead of him in terms of learning a complex defense, just assimilating to what an NFL full-contact padded practice feels like. So, you know, and being in his position, that's an integral position in the middle of this defense. So very big expectations for Patrick Queen. I think he can live up to them. He's not going to play mistake-free. That's just, it's going to happen. But defensive coordinator Wink Martindale said, hey, just make mistakes at 100 miles per hour. We can live with that. So I'm excited to see Patrick Queen run around this field making some plays. Yeah, and there's an infrastructure around him too, Ryan, if you think about it. I mean, there's Queen, 48 white, middle of your screen, getting some work in here on the sled as, again, the individual drills picking up as we speak. But he's just going to be able to go play. Yes, he's going to have to deal with some of the communication that comes with that position, but you've got guys like Chuck Clark, Earl Thomas, L.J. Fort next to him, everybody in front. It's not as if he's just going to be handed the keys to this defense and be asked to run them. The other guy on that graphic, Ryan, J.K. Dobbins, to me, is really a fascinating picture at obviously a player that expectations are going to be laid upon based off of where he was drafted and his talent. But he joins a running back, Ryan, that is loaded. Is there enough of a ball there to get all these guys touches? Because you think J.K. Dobbins, Gus Edwards, Justice Hill, and then obviously Mark Ingram. Yeah, absolutely there is. I mean, the Ravens run the ball more than anybody in football by a large margin. So, I mean, you look at it, and you also have Lamar Jackson, of course, running the ball a lot. I think that Lamar will run the ball a little bit less, and I think J.K. Dobbins will take a little bit off the plate of all three of those other guys. I think that Mark Ingram, obviously getting up there a little bit in age, he's still the lead dog. But J.K. Dobbins is a very, very talented player that's going to come in here and fight for that number 2 role between Gus Edwards and Justice Hill. So, yeah, I think there's enough. And everybody brings a little bit something different. You know, Gus Edwards is a big body back. He can still be your short yardage, power, downhill running back. Run it between those tackles in 3rd and 1. I'll take me some Gus Edwards. I'll take some Gus the Bus in that situation. and then you still have Justice Hill, who we were all really excited about last year. 4th-round pick, a speedster, change of pace back, get the ball in his hands and let him make some plays. Nothing has changed in that regard. It's not like Justice Hill is any slower than he was last year. He's a better player than he was last year, so I still want to see him in space a little bit, get the ball. He's a change of pace back who he can break a big one on any play. So I think there is enough for everybody, especially when you have a little bit less of Lamar running the ball, perhaps. So J.K. Dobbins, you know, this is a guy who did not like or does not want to sit on the bench much. He's made a quick impact throughout his entire career. He did at Ohio State. He's coming off of running for 2,000 yards. He wants to make a quick impact, and I think he'll be given that chance. And it should be noted, too, Ryan, this year more than ever, depth is going to be as valuable
an attribute to any organization as any in any season. And this is the rest of the draft. And it's important to get to know these names because, as we know with this organization, but across the league, you'll find impact players in rounds 3 through 7. So as we look at this graphic and this list, Ryan, who are some names that early on in these padded practices fans should keep an eye on?
Well, I look at the 4 third-round picks and then the 6th-round pick in James Prochet. You look at Justin Madubuike. I mean, the Ravens have wanted some interior pass rush from their defensive linemen. That's been lacking a little bit since the days of Haloti Ngata. So Madubuike has that potential. I mean, here's a quick-footed guy who can really kind of move some people along there. And, you know, he plays a little bit. This is going to sound crazy. He plays a little bit like Aaron Donald of the Los Angeles Rams. I'm not saying he's there. Not even saying he's close yet. But I'm just saying that's what his game kind of looks like. And then you look at Tyree Phillips. I mean, he's going to be competing for that right guard spot and the backup tackle spot, which is very important now that the Ravens don't have James Hurst. Who's that third offensive tackle? Tyree Phillips is a big guy there. Devin Duvernay, the wide receiver, he could eventually become the Ravens' primary slot receiver. Here's a fast, sure-handed guy who can take the top off the middle of the defense. And then Malik Harrison, inside linebacker. I think the Ravens long-term look at this inside linebacker as Patrick Queen and Malik Harrison right next to him. The question is, you know, I think we know Patrick Queen, he's going to need to be a starter week 1. How quick can Malik Harrison get up to speed, and how soon do we see that duo terrorizing opposing offenses? That's all going to be interesting. And then the last one is James Prochet in the 6th round, that wide receiver. He's going to be competing for the starting punt returner job, and he's the lead man for the competition right now. So there's a lot of rookies. I know they're getting a late start, and everybody's talking about, hey, how much can you rely on these rookies because they didn't have OTAs, they didn't have minicamp. That's a lot of lost time, and that's legit. Those guys are hampered a little bit because of that missed practice time. But these guys, I think, in their roles, and I'm not saying they're all going to be starters, but in their roles, they can certainly make an impact this year.
Well, it starts today. James Prochet should be noted. First guy out on this practice field hitting the jugs machine early, way before the rest of the team got out here. Again, many more minutes here to come here on Training Camp Live presented by Xfinity. Coming up next, we dive into that Twitter poll. Where are we going to go? You're the producer of the show. We'll also answer the questions that are posted in that Facebook comments section. Stay with us.
Meet the Wawa Hoagies. Every hoagie is made for you with delicious ingredients on a freshly baked Amoroso roll. Try one today, like a toasty cheesesteak, a mouth-watering meatball, or an Italian hoagie. Every one made just how you like it. So now that you've been introduced, stop by and get a fresh, delicious hoagie today. Gotta have a Wawa. Wawa is the official hoagie of the Baltimore Ravens.
You can see it in the eyes of every Ravens fan. An unwavering commitment to the team they love. A pride so vibrant, it can be seen from miles away. A community that's fully committed to their team and shows up week after week to help chase a championship. To the Ravens flock, the chant starters, to those who bleed purple, M&T Bank wants to say, we're your biggest fan.
No, this ain't no sandwich. Because on a sandwich, they ask you if you want cheese. But on a papadilla, cheese is what's holding the whole operation together. Get one now for just $6. Better ingredients, better pizza, better than a sandwich. Papa John's.
Ravens flock, here's your chance to play GM. Enter the You Pick the Team presented by MedStar Health contest and predict the Ravens' opening 53-man roster for a chance to win a Lamar Jackson autographed jersey. Make your picks by September 4th at BaltimoreRavens.com/YouPickTheTeam. And I wouldn't recommend looking at any of Ryan Mink's projections based off of a 2019 version of this. Ryan, I'm sorry, but look, you got to point the fans in the right direction, my friend.
Oh, yeah, I'm terrible. Oh, terrible. Terrible at this game. You know, it's just like pin the tail on the donkey. You know, you're kind of, like this, pick the team that way, right?
Yeah, I love all that work you've been doing in the pantry to get ready for your 53 is showing itself early. The Twitter poll has asked us to look at different position groups. And the first one out of the gate here in show number 1, surprise, surprise, wide receivers by an unbelievable margin here. And look, it's because they want to see Marquise Hollywood Brown, an offseason that we know was committed to getting healthy, bigger, stronger, faster. But this is a group that has a lot of intrigue heading into this season, Ryan.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, with the Ravens offense, it's probably the most unproven group. You know, I mean, you have a very young core. You had 2 draft picks from last year in Hollywood Brown and Miles Boykin. Then you add another 2 this year in Devin Duvernay and James Prochet. They're added to the veterans in Willie Snead and Chris Moore. But, you know, a lot of guys who are looking for their breakout moment this year. And, you know, Hollywood Brown had a really good rookie season, really good. I mean, tied the Ravens franchise record for most touchdowns by a rookie wide receiver. So, I mean, he's already kind of got a good start to build off of. But this year, the expectations is that he's going to be a 1,000-yard receiver, possible, you know, in the Pro Bowl talk, that he's going to be a big-time weapon for this team. And then Miles Boykin, a lot of questions about him, too. I mean, here's a guy who has all the physical potential, big body, fast, all those things. Just got done talking to him last week. Dude caught 500 passes off the jugs machine every day.
Wow.
I'm concerned about how sore his hands are. I've got injury questions with him.
It's callousing, Ryan. It's not something you would know much about. That's an athlete term. Or just a tough guy term.
Yeah, but I mean, these wide receivers, if the offense is going to take another step, right, I think a lot of it's going to be on those wide receivers. You know, the run game, we all know what that's about. We know that this team has, you know, an MVP at quarterback, and obviously Lamar has room to grow, but at wide receiver, that's where the question marks lie. And so if those guys can really take the next step and become premier wideouts, whew, watch out.
Look, we know training camp, Ryan, is all about competition and the position battles. And that was where our Facebook comment section really was finding itself here in show number 1, because you've got a Hall of Famer to replace in Marshall Yanda at that guard position. And look, there are a lot of candidates here that are going to make themselves known over the next few weeks. But how do you look at that position battle here early in these padded practices?
Yeah, I think that is the position battle to watch. I mean, that's the biggest question mark with the offense in terms of competition, is who's going to start at right guard. I probably look at Ben Powers and DJ Fluker, the free agent addition, as the 2 leading candidates there because they have the experience. You know, I think Tyree Phillips, being a rookie, coming in, and he played left tackle last year. It's a transition for him to learn that right guard position, but he'll get his opportunity. Now, you look at Ben Powers, and he's trying to pull a Bradley Bozeman. Bradley Bozeman started 1 game, kind of emergency, thrown in there the previous year, and then last year started 16 games at left guard and played pretty darn well. Ben Powers, a 4th-round pick, is trying to do the same exact thing. He started 1 game, the Week 17 game against the Steelers, and played well in that game. Now he's looking to come out here and prove that in year 2 he can take over a starting position. I actually saw him walk out to the field right next to Bradley Bozeman. So, you know, I think those 2 are going to be sharing some advice. And then DJ Fluker, I mean, here's a former 1st-round pick, a big, and I mean big man out there who has a lot of experience with the Seattle Seahawks, with the Chargers, played under Joe D'Alessandris, the Ravens offensive line coach, out there in San Diego when they were in San Diego. So there's a familiarity there, and here's a guy who's played a lot of snaps in the NFL. He's in great shape. He dropped a lot of weight this offseason. Went from, I think he said, a 4X to a 2X shirt. I mean, look at this dude. Look at him. I mean, goodness.
He's a mountain of a man.
He makes other offensive linemen look small. That's hard to do. So, I mean, yeah, I look at Ben Powers and DJ Fluker probably as the leading candidates at that spot. And then you have Ben Bredesen, another rookie, and Tyree Phillips also competing there. And Patrick McCary. You know, I mean, he's going to compete at starting center and at those guard positions. So that's a wide open competition. I think the Ravens are going to try to get everybody some snaps so they can get a good look at it.
And Ryan, as we look at this offensive line group getting some work in this full padded practice, it's that unit. I mean, it's critical for everybody to get their chemistry down, but these padded practices, being back out on the field for that offensive line as they try to replace a Hall of Famer, is going to be monumental as they hope to match, if not increase, on the work they were able to do offensively last season. Absolutely. So the next question up here, and we touched on it with the Queen edition via the draft, but your inside linebackers for Week 1 are?
Oh, my goodness. I mean, I have to say Patrick Queen is one of them, the 1st-round pick. And next to him, I probably would say L.J. Fort. The Ravens signed him midway through last season. He played pretty darn well. They signed him to a contract extension before last year ended. So here's a player that, is dependable. You know what he's going to do on the field. He's great in coverage. He can blitz for you. LJ Fort is quietly a better player than I think a lot of people think. And then, like I said, I think Malik Harrison is going to be pushing him for reps, and they're going to roll him into that. But it's a question of how quick can Malik Harrison get up to speed to be that number 2 primary starter. The Ravens, though, it's interesting. They play so many different defensive formations that sometimes you might only have one inside linebacker on the field. It might be Patrick Queen and Patrick Queen alone out there. So it's not that you always have that traditional 3-4, 2 inside linebackers on the field at all times.
Well, Ryan Mink, you heard the horn, man. That's it for us. 1 practice in the books. They're going to get into team periods, so make sure to stay tuned for updates. But coming up at 10:30, John Harbaugh, Orlando Brown Jr., cornerback Marlon Humphrey, Matthew Judon have their press conferences, and we'll stream them live right here. We're also going to have highlights and top plays from today's practice later today. And tomorrow on Training Camp Live, Lamar Jackson is wired. So get back here at about 9 a.m. Eastern for another edition of Training Camp Live presented by Xfinity. Thanks for watching, everybody.